Hello, friends. My name is Kim. I am the Children and Young Adult Consultant with the Connecticut State Library. I am here with Lynn from the Southington Library, who's going to tell us about a literacy of laughter program, which I'm pretty sure has something to do with improv, which is really great because I took improv in college. I am horrible at it, so I don't do it anymore, but I appreciate the craft, and I'm really excited to hear what you have to tell us.
Okay, Kim, thank you so much for asking me to speak about it. I have to say, in October of 2021, a year and a half into a 2-week pandemic, the entire world felt like a very angry, frustrated, and uncertain place. It still does to a certain extent, but at that time it really ramped up. You know, kids were still kind of going to hybrid school or not, or in and out, and it was just still quite a mess after a year and a half. And so I just started thinking, you know, when I'm feeling that way, or if I'm afraid of something or angry at something, or just trying to figure something out for myself, the best way to do that is to find something to laugh about it. And because I think for myself, when I am laughing, I'm more relaxed, I'm more open to new ideas. And if I can breathe about it, kind of reflect on it, find out that other people are just as concerned about something as myself, then I can conquer it. If it's a fear and I can laugh at it, I can absolutely conquer it. So I thought, well, this world is so disconnected. How do we get back to some kind of place where we were, and just laugh at it and process it? My director at the time called what we're living in a collective trauma of everyday life. And how do we laugh at the collective trauma of everyday life? And I started thinking, well, I've had improv comedy classes. And so I know, and I've had them with CT Improv, who we did this program with. And improv comedy, if you're not familiar with it, it's an unscripted, spontaneous theatrical performance. And it is spontaneous. It's co-created by the players and a host and an audience. But underneath it is a big framework and rules and principles. But along the way, you're learning so much about collaboration and teamwork and respect and acceptance of people's ideas, and you're laughing. And I figured, okay, well, maybe that's the place to start. And I started mulling that around in my head. And I heard a really great quote from John Fugelsang, who is a political comedian, and he said that comedy has had to get so good because the news has gotten so bad. And that all kind of made sense to me. And one night I was driving home and I thought, okay, well, I'm somehow going to bring improv comedy to the town of Southington, but I really don't know how. And then one night I was driving home from work and everything fell into place. And I thought, how do I reach the most number of people? I can't give a class to everybody, but if I can get a diverse cross-section of the community and give them improv programs, a workshop, I will try that. And then if I can get them all together in a final performance, maybe we can do that. So I picked all part of our summer reading program. So I picked one program for kids, one for teens, and one for adults. But then I looked at some of the outreach partners that we had, which were Bread for Life, which is our local soup kitchen, the ARC of Southington, which serves intellectually and developmentally disabled individuals and their families, and a veterans group in town. And I thought, okay, those are my 6 workshops: kids, teens, adults, Bread for Life, the ARC, and the veterans. And then at the end of the summer, we'll pull it all together and we'll do a final performance. And we decided to call it Southington Night Live so we could keep an SNL reference so people would get that it was comedy. And so I had the idea. I pitched it to my director, Christy Sadowski, and she is no longer our director, and we miss her terribly. So I'm just giving her a little shout out. And she loved it. She loved it. So then I pitched it to our Outreach partners, and they loved it. They really could see that it would be an engaging yet educational opportunity for communities that sometimes are marginalized and looked over, so, or underserved. So like, that's cool. And we decided we would have our programs, the kids, the teens, and adults in the library, and then the ones with our partners off-site where they are. And we were lucky enough for Southington Night Live, we chose the YMCA Camp Sloper Amphitheater, which is out in the woods, open air, wonderful. But then I had to see if CT Improv could do this, because that was kind of important. And they are wonderful. They're absolutely amazing to work with. And they were completely on board with it. And then we had to find the money for it. You know, it's each workshop we decided we worked with CT, and we decided for each of the 6 workshops, they would be 1 hour each. And they would be very hands-on, because improv is very, as you know, Kim, is very participatory, and there's no getting around it. And they would get a real introductory, thrown into an introductory 1 hour workshop through exercises and group discussion and reflection, and just talking about how we can laugh at what we're living through and help us get through it. And then the final performance was an hour and a half, and that also was a community-wide discussion of how do we use laughter and comedy to let us look at the world again. And those, I'll just tell you how much they were in case they're a lot of money. So they were, each workshop was $500, and they would take up to 20 people, and the performance was for 150 people. So now we needed to find the money, because we just didn't have all of that kicking around. So the next thing we needed to do was apply for some grants. And I had never written a grant at that time. And it was really overwhelming and daunting, but I wanted to be as hands-on with that as possible. And Christy again helped me. She kind of guided me through the language of grants, because it is its own foreign language. And I learned so much through, matching grants and in-kind and external cash contributions. And she was amazing. She had a lot of patience with me, and she really guided me towards the funders that she thought would be most open to it. And she, as usual, she was right. And we were very lucky, very generously, Connecticut Humanities funded our open workshops, because they specifically said any workshop that we're going to fund has to be open to the public. And so we were all over that. So the kids, the teens, the adults, the final program, those were all funded by CT Humanities, Connecticut Humanities. And they also paid for we created some print advertising in local magazines and newspapers, and they paid for that. And then we had a local foundation, the Main Street Community Foundation, and they paid for all the 3 closed workshops with Bread for Life, the ARC, and the veterans. And so we were thrilled with that. And then we were left with, putting just the administration of putting the programs on the summer reading calendar, and all the registration and the publicity and everything that goes along with summer reading. And we advertised it the same as we always would. We do calendars, and we have the website and e-blasts, social media, press releases to all the area newspapers. We have information that goes out to all the media specialists, and all of the summer lunch program that goes out to the 800 people, and we promoted the heck out of it, and our partners also promoted it from their sites as well. So, and then it just went along. Everything went great all summer. All of the planning and everything just went. CT Improv was fantastic. They schedule all of the all of for the instructor performers that come out, and they were all amazing. They're just incredible. And then, like any program, there are things that go right and there are things that go wrong. So I'm going to start with the wrong first and get that out of the way. So what went wrong? When I was planning it, I kind of started coming from a place of pre-COVID, and I thought about the attendance numbers that a program like this would drop pre-COVID. And the numbers, like a lot of programs, just weren't there. We were very disappointed with the attendance, because the response to it was amazing. We got a lot of very positive response, and everyone was really happy, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But when it came time, like all of our programs, the numbers for our open programs just were not there, unfortunately. The teen program, especially, we had the summer before, in 2021, the library and Bread for Life had started a program for teens called A Gathering Place. And that was where teens could come, they would be served dinner and do an activity. And we thought that's the perfect place to do the teen program. But the summer of 2022, no teens came to that. So what was popular in 2021 was crickets in 2022. And so I said, well, I'll just run it as in a program at the library, and no teens registered for that one either. So what we did, CT was very flexible with that. And I asked, can I just run it as another program at another time for a different age altogether? And so we ended up on election day, there was no school, and we did another one for kids ages 5 to 8. The first kids one was 7 to 10. The second one was 5 to 8. And that went very well. And the parents joined in, and then people who just happened to be off for school joined in too. So it worked out, but we were really bummed. Our teen population that we had before COVID, we're just starting to trickle back now. But the other thing that went wrong was we were so super excited to have our finale at the YMCA Camp Sloper, which is this beautiful recreation place, and the amphitheater is in the woods, and it's open, and it's just gorgeous, and weather was forecasted to be wonderful. And then the program started at 6:30, but at 4:30 we got this freak thunderstorm, and it poured for a long time. So the wooden seats were completely soaked, and it's a little bit muddy, but we did have it at the YMCA. They have plenty of other pavilions and things, so we did have it there. So those are the things that went wrong. But if I look at what went right, and I look at the closed workshops, that's where the most success was found. So we did one with the ARC of Southington, which I said works with intellectually and developmentally disabled people. And it was just interesting, people who talked to me about it would say, well, I'm not really sure if that's a good idea. It's I don't know, it might be hard. And I thought, that you watch, because those people they got this. They totally got this. And it was amazing. I just said that night was pure joy, because they jumped feet first into it, and they embraced the process and the instructors, and it was just amazing. I did not want that workshop to ever end, because when you're practicing improv, it takes your full focus, concentration. It's physical. It uses verbal communication, nonverbal communication, teamwork, building of other people's ideas, and they just nailed it. They nailed it. And the ARC was they saw the potential that further improv training could have on their clients in their home relationships or work or in their social lives. And so they're really looking to find more. The program at Bread for Life, we had one man who had a stroke, and he was very discouraged at the, he came and he was happy. And then when he saw it was participatory and not just a performance, he said, I can't do this. You see, I've had a stroke and my brain doesn't work this way. I'm not going to be able to do this. And I was like, same with you, sir. You're going to do this too. And I watched him lose himself in the process, fully engage and participate and laugh and laugh and laugh. And those are moments, when I had to write the report after, I thought there is no survey question. There's no charts that I can make to adequately describe what the anecdotal evidence of it is. That's what's hard about writing a grant is the evaluation. And I understand if you're giving people money, you want to know if it works or not, but it's hard to do that in a qualitative kind of way. So that's what went right. Another great thing, a very unexpected thing, was that the program won a national award. It won the 2022 Innovation in Outreach Programming Award from you crack me up. The Association of Bookmobiles and Outreach Services. So that was really exciting. We were really thrilled by that. The last thing I can say about it is that I truly, there's a couple people, really, Christy Sadowski, our last director, I couldn't have done this without her, because I used to say to Christy, I still do, I said, for you, it's like, you're like working with an improv person, because we pitch you this weird idea and then you help us build it and do it. So working with you is like working with improv. So she really did. She was a great help. And absolutely, CT Improv in Hartford, they are the most professional, talented, flexible people. In every workshop that happened, they would send these amazing instructor performers, and I would think, it can't get better than this. And then the next one would come, and I'm like, oh no, it did. It just got better. And it's not that anybody was better or more talented than another. They're just all so amazingly talented in different ways that together, it was just a dream. It was a dream to work with them. And that is our Literacy of Laughter program.
That's so great. Because my undergraduate degree is in theater arts, and I am the worst improver I know. I'm like, I need a script, I need floor marking, I need rehearsal. Like, something about it is like, I can't purposefully be impulsive. I can accidentally, on accident just be a hoot. But when my mind is like, I'm like, I got nothing. So like, I completely understand the mindsets of folks who were like, I can't do this. Like, I came to watch. I can't do this, because I probably would have been right there, like, from your mind, or from my mind to your mouth, my friend. That sounds awesome. I have a weird logistical question. Okay, so you ran 3 programs with your partner organizations, and then you ran 3 in your library, and they culminated in a event. And so I know from improv event, it's so funny because someone who works here now like did improv with a group for like a bunch of years, and I almost wish she was in here. But what did it culminate in one big show, or did it culminate in like 6 little shows? I think I just want to know for my own brain, because
sure.
Very excited.
We did, so the workshops themselves were just straight workshops. It was a 1 hour and done kind of thing. And then the final performance was open to the public. And when we came back there, we talked a little bit about the program. Anyone who had been at any of the workshops was welcome to come. But it really was just a straight performance. It was just like, it's most people, when they came to any of the programs, they're like, is this like Whose Line Is It Anyway? The television show? And I'm like, yeah, it is. And in case people haven't seen it, it's just a television program where you have 4 comedians, a host, and an audience. And just like an improv show, the host kind of guides it a little bit, but it is spontaneous, and he or she will ask for audience prompts or suggestions, like name a movie or a place or a famous person, and the improv players with no time and no talking to each other have to create this little theatrical performance, and it usually ends up it always ends up kind of funny and in a place that no one expected. And even they don't know, but they just kind of have to talk. And
the people on stage, no one knows.
Nobody knows. That was always the first question. Oh, they know, but for the comedians, no, they don't. They film it for a long time and take the best bits out of it. But no, they weren't. So the individual programs were not connected in any way.
Oh, so it was the Hartford group that did the show. It wasn't
the Hartford. Yeah, well, yes, I'm sorry. So CT Improv in Hartford ran each of the workshops. So, and they taught each one of the workshops, and then a bigger group came and they did the show.
Wasn't I'm telling you, there's space for some hilarity if the folks who go through the workshop then
absolutely
put on the show, because that's where my mind went. And I'm like, man, to be a fly on the wall to see like, like the veterans and like the 7-year-olds from the library, just like making it work. Oh my gosh, it's so cute in my brain. Loving this. Anyone, take it for summer reading. I love that you did this for summer reading. When we talk about things like summer enrichment activities and other ways to learn, right? Like, we are librarians. Summer reading, tracking books is just like glued to our foreheads. But I really love that you found an alternative method to teach equally important skills, like you were saying, like working with others and just kind of like all of that stuff. Like, those are skills that are 100% necessary. Like, none of us can have jobs if we can't work with other people. So I really loved it that on your drive home one day, your brain made that magic for you.
It all just came together, and I said that. And once it came in, I knew I knew it was all going to come together. I didn't know how, but I knew in October 2021, I knew it was all going to work out. I didn't know how, but I knew I was going to make this work somehow. That we needed it. We needed to be able to laugh. And that was really part of it, was to look at our present day situation. And we could do that from any age group. So, kids, we had talking about school and bullying and going to school from home. We did things so we could laugh at that. Or, Zooming from home, the stupid things that happen when you're trying to Zoom from home. Or when Ashley asked me if there were things and I just send her things she doesn't want at all because I'm not speaking to you in person. Things like that happen too. But if you could laugh, we had COVID, war, everything going on. And if we just needed to come together, find some empathy in a world that really felt devoid of it, and come together and laugh. And that was the only thing that I knew I could sort of do, not for the whole world, but at least our little corner of it for a summer. And it was also too for summer as well, because we didn't know if we would have to do everything outside.
Yes.
And that was also part of it. We also had to write into the grant, what happens if we lock down again? Can they do a hybrid program? Can you do this outside? And this was CT has done a lot of their shows hybrid. So or online, and so that was something we could always pivot back and forth.
What did the participants in the workshops think? Like, I know you told, and what I can say is, yes, there are some things that just cannot be put on a graph, which is why, like, I personally believe in the importance of like outputs and outcomes, like numbers. Yeah, sure, numbers are great, numbers get you money. but like those narratives and those stories that can ultimately be told, even in the way that you're telling them right now, it is 100% a yes and situation. Like otherwise, you know, whatever, just like throw your hands up and walk away. But like sort of what was it like working, or, you know, and sort of what were the reactions of the people who ultimately participated?
Most of them had the same start. I cannot do this. I just can't do this. This is
closed mindset. No.
Closed mindset. I cannot do this. And then it's so incremental. The exercises that you learn are so incrementally, it's so proportionally, you know, they start small and they're goofy. And they're all goofy. All of the exercises are goofy, but they each build one on top of the other. And then once they realize that, okay, I can do this, I'm having fun. Well, one of the biggest, I think once they understood one of the biggest tenets of improv, which is there are no mistakes in improv. And that's something as a society, people, they're always thinking, I'm doing this wrong, I'm doing this wrong. Once they realize that there is no way to do it wrong, you're just here to have fun, they relaxed a little bit. And then when they could use, you know, do an exercise, learn something, have fun. I lived through that. Do another exercise, learn a little bit more. I learned something. They were more concerned about looking goofy in front of other people. And the funny part about it is that we have a programming room in our lower level that we can't use because there's no ventilation in there. So we had to run all of our programs in the middle of the library, like in front of everybody. But when you're involved in it, you don't see anybody. And the instructors were so great. And once they got a little bit of confidence, they got to trust the other people that they were with and trust the instructor that they knew what they were doing. By the end of it, everyone was just having a good time, and the workshop was over in seconds.
I can't not have flashbacks to my own times doing this. And you're right. And I think there really is something to be said for even though I say I'm like, I was horrible at this. Did I do it? Yes. Did I go every time and like laugh at myself? Oh, yes. Because, you know, you play, you know, like the freeze game or something where you make someone freeze and you jump up and take their spot. And I was that person that would be like, before coming up with something to say, but like, whatever, it was hysterical. It's hysterical. It really gives you an opportunity to get out of yourself and sort of like throw away the property tax bill that just showed up that you don't feel like paying right now, and do something else with a group of people that maybe you otherwise wouldn't interact with, which is also a joy.
And it's also considered a form of mindfulness, because when you're practicing improv, you are fully in that moment and only that moment. And all you care about is what you just said and what the person with you is saying. Like, you forget everything else. You hope you know where they're going. And if you don't, it's okay. It doesn't matter. It's one of the only things you do right now that it doesn't matter. No. The worst part for me is when in the classes I've had, it's just that I can't think when I'm there. And then on the drive home, why didn't I say that? Oh, that would have been hilarious.
And then you might want to file it away for next time. But in the moment, you're so in the moment that like,
you just can't. You just can't. And that's another great thing about improv, practicing improv, is it really hones your decision-making and quick thinking skills, because you have to be quick. And I have found that it really helps. It can help your skills wherever, in your personal relationships, in the office, in school. They do a lot of improv with kids, and in the classroom, at work, wherever. It just helps everything. I love it. I'm not really good at it, but and
that's exactly it too.
I do love it.
I'm not good at it. Like, I was in a room with theater majors. Like, we were all a little too involved. But like, what I can say is like, everyone was in good spirits, right? There are some people and it's like, yeah, you should be doing this on TV, and other people who are like, you are great. Glad, happy to have you here, but you should be on TV, and that's fine. I loved being on my side of the I'm not great, but that's going to be fine. But it's ultimately, I think, how you feel when you walk away from something.
Oh, yes.
What you've consciously or subconsciously learned, which is ultimately what matters, regardless of how like skilled you are at the thing.
Oh, and that's, you know, and that's another tenet of improv is it's all in good fun. Nobody leaves. You're not being laughed at. You're being laughed with, and it really is all in good fun. And that's you can't go wrong with that. And but what also about improv training is that it can lead you. So maybe being on stage and being spontaneous in front of a lot of people isn't your thing, but there are so many other things you can do. You can go into sketch comedy. You can write sketch comedy. You can write skits. You can do stand-up if you want to mull it over and over and over in your mind, but you do like being in front of people. There are different you can be behind the scenes. You know, if you go to their theater, there are people running their theater. You can take classes there. You can go to shows. They have shows for all ages, kids shows on Sunday afternoons for families. There's just some, I don't know, there's just something for everyone in improv. I know the people I work with are probably tired of hearing it, but I really do think that
all theater is great theater. Improv,
all theater is great theater.
I'm a scripted gal myself. Please give me words, but like all theater is good theater, and I love it. Are you going to do this again? Your workshop?
What we did. It's funny you mentioned that, Kim, because what we looked at the workshops and the I don't want to say the most potential because that's going to sound wrong, but the program with the ARC was so beautiful, and we could see that the staff, I'm in the back of them crying with the staff, watching their clients just reach and stretch themselves and learn, and they came together as such a team, and they said they need this. They need this for their just life skills, just plain life skills. So what I really want to do next is CT Improv runs a 4-week course, introduction to improv, and I'm looking to get them to give that course, open it to a wider, the intellectually and developmentally disabled community. And, you know, and I always hope I'm saying everything correctly. I don't want to offend anybody. But we're looking to open it to the Southington community, not just one group of it, and run a introductory course for a small group, and then do another performance, an exhibit and an exhibition, and run through the exercises and games to just show people, for the participants, so that they do get those life skills, they can build those life skills, but 2, to show people that everyone can do this. Everyone can do the arts. It's accessible to everybody. Everyone should have access to it. They should enjoy it. Anyone who wants to should be able to participate, and we can definitely find a way to do that. And so we would come back together, maybe do a little cast party afterwards, and
I'm so excited. I have nothing to do with this, but I'm so excited.
That's our next. We at the library here, we are really committed, and we're in the early stages. So that's why we say we hope we're doing this right. We're in the very early stages of offering more programming for the neurodiverse community as a whole. And we are learning too, like we are completely on a learning curve as well. And so that we're really looking to do for summer again, just because it's so nice. It's light out, you can run things at night. And that is probably our next step. And then I'm really looking to do that with this group now, and then my dream is to offer it again and another time and make it an inclusive, more of an inclusive program for everybody to get to, for everyone, all the
Like
participants to learn.
neurodivergent, neurotypical, whoever wants to show up and have a good time and learn.
Exactly. And anybody, so that it is inclusive, so that even if you don't have some sort of a disability, that you come together and we all work together. But we are really in the beginning stages of it. And I thought, okay, I don't know. Can you have too much improv? I don't think you really can.
Lies. If anyone tells you can have too much improv, please call me in that exact moment and put me on speaker so I can say, lie. Absolute lie. There is no such thing.
It's in the name of education, really.
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're trying to do right now.
I love this idea. I see it. I'm right there with you. I see the future. The whole thing is there. Call me. I'll be in the audience. I see it.
I would love that.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I would love that.
Oh my gosh. I would go and I would laugh and I would cry and it would be the greatest thing in the entire world. I see this. I'm speaking it into the universe that this is your future.
You're on the list. You're on the list. You better, as long as you throw out some suggestions too for.
Oh yeah, I will dust off my very old skills and see what's in the back of the old attic, you know.
Oh, I would love that for sure. I would love that.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I didn't know what you were going to be telling us about this. I was like, I don't know what this is. This is amazing. This is a great idea. Thank you so much for telling us. I'm so excited.
Thank you. It is an honor to talk to you. And I really have to say, it was an honor to do this program for these people. It truly was. And they're amazing. Everyone is amazing. In each group was amazing. And I met wonderful people along the way. And I'd love to just keep this momentum going.
Awesome. I believe in you.
Thank you. I got one.
That's all you need.
You're right.